G'day everybody, my name's Jono and I'm the owner of Mowing Lawns in Hastings, Hawke's Bay, New Zealand. The reason I created this video, or this series of videos, this channel, is to help people that are starting up their own lawn mowing / lawn care business, particularly if they're looking to be solo operators and to remain so. I've been running my lawn care business since 2017, part-time and full-time for the last 5 years. And I guess the reason I started it originally was that I was tired of working for other people. I had ideas to start other businesses, but I hadn't got around to it. And then one day, I just sort of did a bit of research and looked into starting a lawn care business or a gardening business. Thought it sort of sounded like me. I'd always liked doing the lawns, believe it or not, at home, and got quite large lawns here, so I thought I'd give it a go. So I started off by trying to market the business the old-fashioned way, I suppose, which is to put out flyers and whatnot. Believe it or not, I probably put out close to 5,000 flyers and I got 2 phone calls off them, so it was very disheartening. But I did get my first client. One of those people remained on as a regular lawn mowing client. So it worked in some respect, but to grow the business even further, I banged my head against the wall for quite a while and then sort of discovered that, internet marketing was the way to go. And cut a long story short, after a wee while, I had a full list of customers that I could handle part-time. Wasn't terribly interested in going full-time for a number of years. I had a good job, which was part-time, but paid quite well. Then over a course of time, that job changed in the respect that we had a couple of changes of managers. You couldn't rely on the regular hours that I had before. And I decided one day that I should try and go full time. So what I did, because I was working part-time, I increased my level of clients over a spring-summer period. I was basically operating like a one-armed paper hanger, trying to keep up with both my job and servicing my lawn mowing clients. And then when I had enough clients financially to make it viable, I handed my resignation in and went full-time. And yeah, I have considered in the past, expanding the business, employing people, but the previous job that I did, I was a manager, and it's not really me. I think you're either a management sort of person or you're not. And I certainly am not. Particularly with, labour force problems in New Zealand are probably the same as what you have overseas in America and the UK or worldwide. Very hard to find staff, very hard to find people that will do the job properly. And the margins are probably not there to pay someone what you really need to pay them to do this job, because it is hard work physically. It's quite demanding. So yeah, that's my story. That's why I decided to start up my business and how I've done it so far. The reason I think this channel might be of interest to some people is that I'm now going to have to shut down my business and restart it again. A couple of months ago, I started getting heart arrhythmias, and I ended up in hospital. And I've had heart rhythms before, and rhythm problems before, 10 years ago, and I had ablation therapy where they basically put a probe up through your groin into the chambers of your heart and electronically sort of burn off electrical pathways that are causing the heart to dysfunction and go into arrhythmia. So I thought that was done and dusted, and I thought when I started to get these arrhythmias again in the last few years, off and on, I'm going to have to go and get another ablation done. So one Friday night I was watching television with my wife, and I got an arrhythmia that didn't stop. Usually they sort of go away within an hour. This one decided it wasn't going to stop. It sort of stopped later in the night, and then I went to bed and got up in the middle of the night because it had started again. So the very next day I took myself down to my local doctor, and she put the probes that go on there to tell what your heart's doing. And yeah, she said that I was having AF, which is atrial fibrillation, which is not the arrhythmias that I'd had before. It's a bit more serious. So she put me in an ambulance, and I ended up in the A&E, which is the emergency department here in New Zealand. And after a couple of hours of tests and whatnot, and doctors speaking to cardiologists, one of the doctors said, "Look, you've got a heart murmur. Do you know anything about that?" And I said, "Well, no, I didn't know I had a heart murmur." And he said, "Well, I don't think the atrial fibrillation is the problem here. I think it's been caused by this heart murmur, and I think there might be a leaking heart valve." So I had quite a few tests in hospital. I stayed there for about a week. I didn't really want to be there. I felt quite well, and I have felt quite well right up until this happened. But with the health system as the way in New Zealand and probably a lot of other Western countries, getting to see a specialist can take months. And as the doctors explained to me, if I left the hospital, it could be 6 months before I see a specialist. So it was better for me to stay there, put up with the tests, put up with being in hospital, and put my business on hold while I got all these tests done. And ultimately, what they found is that I have a leaking heart valve. May well be genetically started, I suppose, or it could be that I've damaged my heart in some way by getting an infection at some stage I don't know about. Whatever the case, my mitral valve, which is one of the 3 or 4 heart valves I think your heart has broken a couple of chordae, and the chordae are like little parachute strings that sort of hold the valve in place, stop it going too far in and too far out. And basically I've snapped at least one of them that they can see on their scan that they did, and now requires surgery. And it's took me by surprise. I didn't realise what sort of surgery to be, but it's open heart surgery, so it's quite intensive. I'm going to spend about a week in hospital after I've had this done, wake up in the ICU, and definitely won't be able to work for at least 6 weeks. Although I'll have to discuss this further with a surgeon, because apparently if you're having this sort of surgery and you do heavy manual labour, which, let's face it, mowing lawns is, you could be looking at 3 months. So all of this came as a bit of a surprise, because I've been running a successful business. There's only me. I don't have anybody else that can take over the business. So what I've had to do in the interim is reduce my workload, because the doctors said when they let me out of hospital, I can't do any work to the point where I feel puffed. I have to pace myself. I'm allowed to lift more than 25 kilos. So I shed half my clients in the interim. I explained to them what was happening. And, because I'll be off for so long, a lot of them have gone with other lawn mowing outfits. I don't blame them for doing that, and I certainly wouldn't expect them to wait for me. The remaining clients I have, the remaining ones, I've told them exactly what's going on, and we'll sort of continue to work for them right up to the day I get operated on. Up until yesterday, I actually didn't know when that would be, because, as I explained before, the New Zealand health system, has huge waiting lists, not only for having specialists look at what the problem is with you before they operate on you, but actually the operations can take quite some time before you actually get to do the operation. So yesterday I had a phone call and an email, and I'm going to be operated on the 7th of August, which is a Monday. So I have to be in hospital in Wellington, which is about 4 hours away from where I live. And then on the Sunday, and then on the Monday, they'll operate me in the afternoon. And I may be in there for 5 days, maybe 7, depends on how quickly I bounce back. And then I come home, and we'll spend the next 6 weeks waiting for my sternum to heal, because it's a sternotomy. When they do open heart surgery, they cut into your sternum and they break the breastbone. It has to heal. That's the main reason why you can't work. It's not so much your heart. That should be fine, within a few days. It's just that it has to be repaired and totally healed before you do anything vigorous. Otherwise, you may well break that sternum again. So what I'm going to do is, you know, I'm going to restart my business. That's all I can do. I'm fortunate in that respect that my business has been quite successful. It won't be a financial nightmare like it could have been. If you were just starting out a few weeks ago or months ago and you didn't have that financial backing behind you. I've got the experience, I know what I'm doing, I know how to get clients now very quickly. And also the timing's good because we're now July in New Zealand, which is theoretically the middle of our winter. We do mow right through the year here, although a lot of my clients will go down to 3-weekly, monthly mowing during the winter. But when I sort of come right from the operation, which will be in September, October, it's our spring. So that's when the phone starts ringing here. I might get 1 or 2 phone calls a week during the winter, but during the summer, spring, summer, about October onwards, I might get 10, 12, 15 calls a day. So I should be able to build up my client numbers fairly quickly. And in some ways I see it as a good opportunity because, one, you can follow along and see how exactly someone goes about starting a lawn mowing business from scratch, almost. And also for me, it's going to give me, I don't know, like a fresh start. I can change a few of the systems I've been using before. I can get better clients. I can charge more money. And generally just get the organisation where I wanted it to be anyway. I had plans to do this coming spring anyway, to tweak things a wee bit, but you know what it's like, you put things off. But this is probably an ideal opportunity to do that. And you can follow along and watch how I do it. I'm not saying I'm an expert on these sort of things. I just run my own business and have done for quite some time. It's going to be tough physically. It's going to be tough to get my fitness back, I'm sure. And emotionally too, I think, to get back to shape sort of after that operation, which is quite a big ordeal. Certainly a lot of anxiety going into this operation. It's not one of the things I wanted to do, but if I don't have this operation, my fitness will gradually ebb away. I'll end up getting heart failure and probably won't have much of a lifespan beyond the next 5 years. And so I'm only 51, so I don't really want that. The end result of the operation, if it's a success and they repair the valve rather than replace it, is that I'll have a normal lifespan just like anybody else, and I'll be much more fitter than I was before I had the operation. Because although I haven't really noticed anything, the doctors have said that there must be a reduction in the amount of fitness I've had. And to some degree, looking back, that might be true. I have noticed that on bigger days where I have a lot of lawns, you know, in the teens, and I'm doing those all myself in the middle of summer, I was finding it a bit tough, but I thought maybe, you know, because I'm 51, things are starting to slow down a bit. So yeah, that's my story. Hey, if you've got any questions about running a lawnmower business, or maybe, you know, you have an illness that you're battling with while you're running your own business, then leave them in the comments below and I will reply to them. And if you've got any future ideas for videos you think I should post, then suggestions are welcome as well. So yeah, next video I'll sort of just give you a rundown on how I've been running the business so far, some of my equipment and stuff, and we'll take it from there. Thanks for watching. Cheers.